Hello everybody, welcome back to the Center for Off-Road Research, Shenanigans, and Science. And today we're going to look at the Tetra 24 again. Just some simple mods you can do to make your crawler a little bit better. And right here, you'll notice that it has dug the rear bumper into the ground. And probably I could get it off if I tried hitting on it a few times. And there, I can free it. But wouldn't it be better if that didn't have to be there? I'll show you how to fix it. To a large degree, your approach and departure angles are basically the point at how steeply you can tip your truck until the back end hits the ground with the bumper. That's the departure angle. This is the approach angle, as you think it is. And there's a couple things we can do with this. I'll start on the front. This is basic stuff. Look how much spacing that is sticking out. And there's a couple of holes there that you can slam that back in with. Well, let's find out. You got a lot of distance there to be able to take that back. At least one hole, if not more. If you wanted to cut the front of the bumper, you could take it back quite a bit. But let's move it back one hole and see what it looks like. I'm just going to take these screws out and shove these back and screw them in the next hole. Pretty basic. I'm not going to show you this on video anymore. I've tucked those back in a bit. The only thing you have to watch out for is to see if this drag link hits the part of the bumper that got pushed in, and it does a little, not severely. It's not enough to limit it, but it's right there. Well, maybe it is. I'm just going to take that back off and chop it off with my Dremel tool. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll zoom it in. That is hitting right there. Pretty easy to fix. Anything that gets in the way of the steering is going to mess up the performance, and those are definitely hitting each other once you tuck the bumper in. But I'm never putting the bumper back out again, so I'm going to chop both ends of these off a little bit. As I normally do, I like to weigh everything. That way I know what I'm putting onto my crawler. That's 5.1 grams. That's not bad. That's quite a lot of plastic for 5 grams. So that's not a bad piece. If you like it, keep it, but it's just going to hurt you on your approach angles eventually. But we're going to keep going with it anyway, because I'm going to show you what I do to make these better. What I'm going to do now is just shave this off, and I'm just basically going to cut the ends of these off. I'm not going to get into this middle piece here, but I'm going to take this whole end part off here, and that'll give it a better approach angle. I'll reweigh it at the end, but it's only going to drop it maybe 1/10 of a gram. Not a big deal. Well, that's what I've shaved off. Let's find out the total weight loss so far. It's going to be insignificant, but why not? There's the screws. There's the bumper. 0.2 grams. I'll take it. It all adds up eventually. There it is reattached, and we have no clearance issues. That peg coming into the frame has an air gap here now. There's no clearance issue throughout the entire travel of the suspension now. That's pretty good. I like that. So the only thing left is to throw the body back on and see how it fits once I get it centered. And I think that looks better even. It's tucked. This is what custom car manufacturers do, is they tuck the bumpers. And if you wanna, everybody talks about a scale. Then I go driving around looking all scale. Well, that's one way to do it. Tuck your bumpers back. There's no clearance issues there, and I think it looks a lot better. So the back side's a little more tricky, but I'm going to basically do the same thing to it. The back side has this huge bumper that hangs off. It looks terrible, and I mean, this is the structure of the car. If there was a real car that had the frame sticking out behind that you could see behind the body of the car, nobody would buy it. So I'm going to fix that next. That bumper is huge, and sticking way out there, I think it's also ugly. Well, now that we've pulled the body off, we see that there is no way to move that bumper forward on the pegs. They're already forward as they can get, right into the body plate. And to me, that's an issue. I don't like that. So I'm going to measure the distance between a couple of holes here. I'm going to measure it from here to here, and we'll find out exactly how far that is. Science. All right, let's find out how far that is. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. About 8 millimeters, we'll call it 7.98 millimeters. So if we look here at the back of the truck, we'll see where 8 millimeters is. 7.9. Roughly, if we pull it forward from this screw to this screw, you're still going to have this much bumper sticking out behind the body. You won't see this gap. You won't see this ugly piece of structure from the frame. And it'll look a lot cleaner. It'll be tucked up. And the only issue I could see is maybe this side hook on the bumper at full compression could potentially get into the tire. I'm not too worried about that because that can go away. In order to do this though, we're gonna have to do a couple of things. First, I'll pull the bumper off. This is the bumper assembly and the screws. 7.2 grams. Well, the problem is right now that what we want to do is hook the bumper up in there closer, but we have some frame rail currently in the way. Well, that's never been a problem for me. It looks like by lining it up with that screw hole that it shouldn't be a problem. I might shave these little pegs that come off of the bumper itself that go through the holes. I'll just flush those with the structure piece. And I'm also going to measure from the center here to here, and then the center here, and then mark this line so that I can get rid of this whole back section, and then I can bring the whole bumper forward, and I'll do that on both sides. This is how easy this is. One side's done already. Now, I'm not sure what this is for here, but they've gone through the trouble to mold what looks like the center part of a hinge. So really, I don't know why they would go through the trouble to mold that, unless they had a second body in mind that maybe had a hinge at the back instead of this really heavy magnet system that they have perched as high as possible on the vehicle. I don't know. But we have both of those posts trimmed. Now I'm just going to cut this right here, and then I'll cut the other side. Alright, what I've done now is chop the frame rails a little bit, and I put Sharpie on them just to make them look nice. And these are what I chopped off just for fun. We'll get a weight on that, not that it matters, but it is weight on the back of the car where you don't want it. Another thing this is going to do is move the center of gravity of that bumper. So a gram, we lost a gram total basically, but this entire bumper has now moved ahead by 8 millimeters once I put that on there. And I don't expect to have it necessarily perfect the first time, but you know what, it's going to fit. Of course it is. Anyway, I will screw that on, and we'll take a look at the final thing once it's in there. So that was a first time cut, and you can see here, let me zoom that in all the way for you. Wow, that's macro. Anyway, you can see here that I might have cut a little too much frame rail out because I could put the end of my screwdriver in there, but you can also see that it does not matter. It's still going to work just fine. And I did it on both sides. You can see it there a bit. If you take off too much, big deal. It's still got plenty to purchase on, but you know, it's okay. I don't care. Now let's have a look at how it looks there. Look at that. I don't know about y'all, but I think that looks a lot better. It just barely hits with full flex. The corner of this bumper just barely hits. So I'm just going to shave that a bit, and then it'll completely clear the tire. But honestly, the tire's hitting the body before it even hits the bumper. So should I worry about it? Yeah, why not? It's easy to fix. But I think that looks a lot cleaner. It's more custom. It's tighter. You're going to have a much better departure angle on that. I mean, you can almost stand it up. The only thing I like bumpers for is to keep the truck from tipping over when it gets too steep. That's the only reason I like them. But I don't know about you guys, but that looks a lot cleaner, a lot better. And when I shave the corner of that off, you won't even notice it. It's on the bottom side where nobody looks, and I don't think it would hurt its looks anyway. But to me, tighter bumpers look more scale. They're going to give you a better approach and departure angle, and I'm just going to go drive it and see how it does. I know it's still underpowered and the tires are under grippy, but I am going to make this the best Tetra 24 that I can make it. We're going to compare sides for a second. You see how this side is squared off and square? Well, I've already done the other side. It took 15 seconds, and I have just tapered that bumper. I think it looks better already, but I did take the wheel off in order to do it, and that little taper there is going to forever keep the bumper out of the tire. Here's something interesting. You can see that it misses completely, and I do have this pushed all the way down so it's at maximum compression, and at no point does that tire touch the bumper. On the side I did not do, and keeping in mind I did draw the bumper in forward, you can hear it popping. You hear it going over the tread? Well, I'm about to pull the other wheel off and just taper this side as well. I can actually see it pushing into the tire there. See that? Yeah, I don't want that. And here it is again. This side is now tapered to match the contour of the wheel, and it no longer hits. It's very subtle things like this they could have done at the factory that would have really made it a better truck all around. It makes it more upgradable, and I mean, I can do it myself later on, but it's just a video I'll have to show you later. So yeah, take it or not, it doesn't matter. If you just want to drive it and have fun with it till it burns up, feel free. But the one I have is going to be the best one that I can make it. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.